Yeah, so this is a Q&A fireside session. The goal really is to ask questions, but most important, if you think about, okay, what you guys want to hear, where do you see the space going? And we are really delighted to have Joe accepting our invite. And without further ado, I want to invite Joe on stage. Whoa, we should do some tamburos. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Cool, welcome. Big round of applause for Joe.
Hey, Francesco.
How are you?
Can you hear me? Oh, I can hear me.
Do you want to rap some DEFCON song or we're good?
Cue the music.
Awesome, awesome. How is DEFCON so far?
So I've been doing a bunch of work. I did a retreat first with a bunch of founders, and it's been pretty excellent. The vibe is very very positive. Obviously, political shifts in the world are making it easier for all of us to be upbeat.
Yeah, I completely agree. The amount of great and quality conversation in these couple of days has been, enormous. But I don't want to bore you on what's the state of the ecosystem. But let's actually speak about builders or in general what's the opportunity today for developers in the space.
For builders, maybe build another L1. Um, okay, we got enough L1s.
No one, no one. Are you guys giving attention or something or?
We got a lot of L2s. So we got a lot of scalability. We've got a lot of block space. We've got affordable block space. So pretty cheap transactions depending on where you go. Cheap blocks, and usability is getting pretty decent. Usability is going to get better and better as the intent-based architectures get more and more mature. In the United States, if you care about that, it's now, or it's soon going to be legal to work in the blockchain industry. They don't actually have any laws against working in the blockchain industry, but effectively it was pretty illegal or pretty difficult or very uncertain. So hopefully that gets cleaned up. And with all those things, we're really ready for the applications to come. So we've been an ecosystem where most of the users have really been us, whether it's crypto nerds or finance nerds or art nerds. And we haven't had the scalability and the usability so that we can draw in really great application layer builders, whether it's applications for consumers or applications for companies. So that's the place to start thinking. We have the scalability now. And so I think genius Web 2 builders and companies are going to come in and build things with the crypto primitives that they just don't have in Web 2. Decentralized ID, reputation systems, attestation systems, there are lots of them. So it's on to build the application layer.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about all the DID verticals and use case. I'm definitely how do you say I don't know how all this kind of layer two fragmentation will happening, but you touch a little bit on usability. What's the state of account abstraction? I'm hearing much more and much more debates around that. What's the state and where do you see this space going?
Yeah, so usability has a lot of aspects to it. Account abstraction is being explored in lots of different ways by lots of different companies and people. I don't think we have a solid solution really yet for account abstraction. We at Consensys and MetaMask are doing a lot of building and a lot of thinking. So from our perspective, we believe the world going forward will have a place where you want to have your digital assets, have your identity, have things that you're going to want to display. Maybe have dashboards for your different personas, your identity, a reputation system, so you can track what you're saying about people via attestations, what people are saying about you. So that probably lives in your main wallet. But you also want to go and play games and participate in a wide variety of different applications. And so it would be very nice if there's some sort of substructure, smart contract based substructure, so that you've got an embedded wallet in lots of different places, and it's trivial to onboard yourself to an application and trivial to link it to your home base, your home wallet. There are elements that we're working on, the delegation framework, which we launched a while ago. It's smart contract based infrastructure that enables one smart contract to delegate rights to another smart contract to access functions on that first smart contract. So that's a design primitive that's just it's so powerful we don't even understand how powerful that's going to be. So keep that in mind. That's going to be made use of in the wallet ecosystem. And we're doing some thinking about what our homesteads look like, what our home bases look like beyond just the wallet. A year or two from now, we should all probably be having this sort of protective layer around us and our precious digital assets. And so that may look like you choosing a place on a layer two. May look like you being able to access lots of applications all throughout Web3 from the safe confines of your layer two homestead. You might just be able to run simulations of something you want to do on a different network. With intense-based architecture, you'll probably be able to access a lot of things from around the ecosystem and not really put yourself at risk, but it'll be market makers and solver networks that are taking the risk in order to satisfy your intent.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about delegation in general, like, how to delegate and trigger events for a specific like use case. And I want to hear your question, guys.
Have you seen any cool delegations?
I think like Guardians and the social recovery delegation, light accounts. We just came from like Edgelana, all the kind of like pop-up hackathons, and there were big debates around social recoveries. Like I really like how in delegation toolkit is you define caveats. So it kind of like it reminds me smart accounts use case, but on a much more broader layer. I don't know how many of you guys think smart accounts are the future. Okay, I just want to say I think also like the ecosystem can be much more, and I think also like it's not just about delegating specific access, but
yeah. I don't know if you remember when there were stagecoaches and people used to rob banks and things like that, but it used to be unsafe to put your money in certain banks, and it took years, almost centuries, for the banking system to get very safe for us all to put our money in banks. And so we're in the very early formative years of a new financial system. So it's rough around the edges. It's dangerous at times, but it's going to get rock solid so that eventually, maybe in a small number of years, there will be no risk in putting your assets in in certain well-used systems.
Yeah, it's a marathon, right? Not a sprint. I also like want to address. I told you guys I will be spicy a little bit, right? And I want to address a little bit the elephant in the room. Like
you didn't tell me it was.
Oh, yeah, that was a surprise. But what's the future of wallets?
Future wallets. So define future, like 2 years, 10 years.
I'm not a fan of 5 years,
two
right?
Years? Okay. So I think in 2 years, we're going to be well on our way to being able to type into an application, type into your MetaMask or other wallet, or speak to a user interface, and have an AI either tell you about the protocol that you're interested in checking out, tell you about a political issue in a DAO, maybe even represent you and vote for you in a sort of liquid democracy sort of way in a DAO political situation, or you can speak your intent into a user interface, and the AI will translate your intent into an intent description language that'll be sent to a solver network. Solver network may send to other solver networks, more specialized solver networks. They'll interface with essentially market makers, projects like Across. So if bridging is required, market makers can take care of that, and market makers will do what you need them to do, taking their own risk from their own inventory in order to make a bit of money to satisfy your request. So all of that should be perfectly safe for the end user.
100%. I know you're actually, you touch on AI agents, right? Yeah, I know you're keener to see much more AI. You touched a bit on also on the use case. Like, I mean, AI agents delivering specific, like, low level use case. Like, what are you excited about mostly around those use cases?
So I think the first thing to recognize is that um, people who are in the AI space, the pure AI space, um, are pretty universally convinced that AI is going to progress quite significantly. And many of them are pretty scared. Many of them are like Dario at Anthropic is calling for regulation. He's saying that if we don't have regulation by the end of 2025, he's not sure whether it'll continue to be safe. So that's interesting. And what some of us have been saying for quite a while is that essentially Web3 is the natural evolution of the internet and the web protocols. So the internet was built with open protocols and open specifications. Web 1, open protocols, open specifications. Web 2 came along at a time when there was so much money to be made, and there weren't decentralized protocols that were mature enough to build on. And so people built in closed source. They ended up building platforms. The platforms grew very valuable. They became siloed. Instead of building bridges to other systems, they built moats, and they onboarded companies onto their platform. Then when they needed more revenue, they kicked those companies off the platform and stole their use cases. So it started out wonderful. It's still pretty cool, but the web is pretty toxic right now, in my opinion. Web 3 is built with open protocols and open specifications, and it is the decentralization of the web. AI is being heavily built by the Web 2 companies, big tech. And if that continues, then we're going to have Web 2 on steroids, which is terrifying because it's essentially a weapon of mass manipulation right now. And what we need to do is shift the AI ecosystem to make use of Web3 decentralized rails. It needs to be done open and transparently. We need open, transparent governance of AIs to the extent we can make that possible. I don't know that we can force big tech companies to use our rails, so we're going to have to ourselves attract talent and using decentralized compute, lots of data, cleaning up of data in decentralized protocols, usage by us. So projects like Venice is a good AI project from our ecosystem. So if we don't have AI built on decentralized rails and humans intimately in the loop, we're gonna get into trouble. If you're an AI company, you're, in my opinion, you're probably hitting a ceiling on what useful data is. And so in order to keep training your AIs, you do different kinds of reinforcement learning, you create simulation environments. I think that's an avenue for AIs to continue to improve. But a great way for AIs to improve is if they're interacting with lots of humans. So I would be delighted to have my own AI ally to be able to talk. Maybe it sits in my MetaMask even. Maybe there's a whole bunch of narrow intelligences that it talks about. So I've got an AI ally that's my controller AI. And I'm potentially talking to it all day. I'm potentially feeding it data. I'd be happy to have drones flying around me all day, piping information to the AI. I can answer questions about what's going on. So that's the way for us to instill values potentially in our AIs and to develop relationships with the AIs so that there isn't one giant big tech controlled foundational model that is potentially shaping the way we think. So anyway, lots more to think about and do in that space. If anyone out there is doing any breakthrough AI work, send me an email. Would love to talk to you.
You will definitely respond.
Joseph.Lubin at consensys.net. Send me a note.
Nice, full transparency. Cool. You guys have any questions? I really don't want to bombard Joe with question. And this is a Fireside chat. This is Builder Night. We're not really keep the flow going. Don't feel shy. You're only asking a question to Joe.
Any song requests?
Okay, I see we have a question there. Do we want to run the mic? While
Is that Diane?
Oh, there you are.
That's a song request. He's gonna ask.
You need to wrap the question though.
Okay, welcome in Builder Night. No chill, just okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah. So, can you give us a bit of context about network states? How network states can help builders to be empowered, to coordinate, and so on.
How can network states help builders to do what? To build?
To coordinate.
To coordinate.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So we sort of front running my talk tomorrow a little bit. There are a lot of network states out there already. I consider Ethereum a sort of a class of network state, Bitcoin a class of network state, Solana a class of network state. They're roughly in the same class. L2s are maybe in a slightly different class of network state. DeFi protocols are in a different class. The Aave projects, they are certainly a proto network state. So Consensys has a bunch of offerings, and we're looking to move more natively into a Web3 footing and put more of our stuff on chain in terms of governance. And that involves decentralized governance, it involves different kinds of tokenization, involves incentivization. So you're going to want to have maybe an endless ecosystem fund so that you can either give retroactive grants, proactive grants, investments. If people and companies are adding value to your L2 or adding value to your network state, there's probably a compensation, a payment that could be made for that. And so we're working with a group called Sobel that's building an on-chain agreements framework, and we're looking to find projects that add value to what we're doing, whether it's the Linea layer 2 ecosystem, or whether it's the Consensys network state that will sit on Linea digital real estate, and essentially pay people sort of like a UBI for Web3 companies, pay people to build stuff in the ecosystem.
I mean, I also say that pop-up city are a great direction to go. I never saw the amount of collaboration and diversity of conversation that happens last month in Chiang Mai. Like from also diversity of conversation, right? And I think that's a great way also to establish much more sustainable builder incentives. Right now, we have hackathons, we have different developer activation, but I think on a long term, we want to really run more continuous and sustainable like evergreen funds for builders to just contribute back to the community and build modular system on top of that. Yes.
Thank
Raise your hand
you.
up.
Hey, Sumit. Good to see you.
Hello. Hello. Thank you. It's a great chat. Do we need more L2 in this market, or Ethereum and Linear are enough? Because every time we see more L2,
Did you say, do we need more L2s?
yeah, because there's so many L2s coming, and sometimes I'm kind of tired of keeping a note of how many L2s are there. So what do you think? Do we need really more L2s to come to the market, or the current infrastructure is enough?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So have you seen how big the internet is? The internet is really, really big. And so Web 2 is really, really big, and we need to move all of that in a better form into Web 3. So we need so much more block space, more affordable block space. We need so much more blob space. So we need an absolutely massive layer 1 or multiple rigorously decentralized layer 1s. And we need, I think, a lot of layer 2s that end up being deep infrastructure. So if you look at how the world is organized, it's a planet, it's a bunch of continents, it's a bunch of nation states. They're sort of held together loosely by treaties in the United Nations and a bunch of international law. And within each nation state, you've got different regions, different polities, you got businesses. So there's a bank branch in many different cities of the same company, essentially. So what we will see, and there are a lot of tribes. Okay, so there are a lot of tribes in our ecosystem already. There will be more tribes of people that come on, and tribes don't just come together and say, hey, let's all merge our infrastructure and make things more efficient. They get stuck in their ways. And so it's also very nice that we're building all these different layer 2 systems with different characteristics, because they really represent different kinds of next generation blockchain database systems. And when we have a higher level coherent interface to those things, it will be valuable to have a mega ETH or a Linea, because they will have very different characteristics. And so you can splay your application across a bunch of those things. So I would argue that we probably need a lot more layer 2s, even if it's super chain like things that share the same technology. So we've certainly had a massive divergence of exploration and innovation in order to solve the scalability problem. And now we need a convergence and essentially to solve the fragmentation problem. So way more, hundreds more, thousands more, 10,000s more layer 2s, because they'll have different reasons. We'll need layer 3s, layer 4s, etc., for grouping, for regionalization. I don't know that China's going to want to be dependent on stuff that it deems to be American infrastructure. I've spoken to regulators and politicians in France. They're like, do we need to create our own Ethereum? Because it looks like America's potentially going to dominate Ethereum. So there are a lot of constraints that people impose, and it's not about creating the most homogeneous and efficient infrastructure.
Yeah, I think we have trade-off, and we will fine-tune also specific use case on both layer 2s and layer 1s. Actually, this is a side question, but what's your take on like the Beam chain that Justin kind of like announced?
Oh, the Beam chain? So I missed his talk, and I think he made a mistake. I think he meant to say 1 year for 4-second blocks. I think that was a typo on his slide. He got a lot of shit for that. But so he's been doing some brilliant work. Doing brilliant work about native rollups, ZK EVM or other ZK technology at layer 1. So he's a superstar. He spent a lot of time doing that other work. This is new work. He was very brave to present it, to advertise it, and present it in its sort of half-baked form. We obviously need to move in directions at the beacon chain level, and you know, I wish he didn't get such a negative response to it, because you know, we iterate on these things. We throw these ideas out on crypto Twitter or at conferences, and we will get there. And he usually proves to be largely right in the end.
We have a question there.
Yeah. Hello. Hey, Joe.
Raise your hand. Yeah.
Stand up.
Yes, yes. Go for it.
I see a big problem related to the. Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear
a
me
little bit high. Yeah.
I see a big problem in the Web3 space right now. That is basically a lot of the resources that we have. They go and they store those resources in Web2 competitors like AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, and those will be able to those own that data that then will be used to train those models that they partner up with OpenAI, Anthropic, et cetera. 80% of the data of Web3 data is being stored now into AWS, Google Cloud. I'm talking about infrastructure, right? Do you see that as a problem to be solved, or do you think it's fine and we're going to find another way?
So the question is, lots of our data that's being used to train AIs is sitting in Web 2 infrastructure rather than Web 3 infrastructure. Do I see that as a problem?
Correct.
I see it as an opportunity. If I could snap my fingers and mature all the data storage, the decentralized data storage systems, make them super easy to use and make the conversion instant, that would be great. But you know, it's a process. We need to have incentives, have good reasons, and good user experience to even if we don't migrate our old stuff over to put our new information, because the old stuff actually gets stale very quickly. So it gets less and less valuable. So just we need application layer builders to build compelling applications so that the new stuff is on Web3 rails. You know, if you look at the music industry, if you look at the web, the amount of songs or data that's being produced over the next, say, N months generally tends to be about the same size as all the data in all of the history, the previous history. And N could be like 24 months or something like that. So everything that's really relevant and really valuable is in our future. And that stuff is great to bootstrap an AI, but also, you know, they're sitting with knowledge that's 3 months old, or the AIs have 3 months old knowledge, 3 years old, or 3 weeks old knowledge in some cases. They're doing some web searches to supplement that. But we need to build better AI algorithms that are built on native Web3 rails, and they'll be able to access these data pools. And I'm looking forward to get paid by AIs for sharing the data that my drones feed them.
That's super cool. I mean, Polymarket was a great example, right? The majority of all the like signups and logins were all Web2 logins, and I think no one really knew that was deployed on Polygon. That's super cool. Awesome. Let's do one more question. Yes.
Yeah,
A little bit higher. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You briefly touched at the beginning of our conversation on financial markets. So, as the first, I guess, use case for Web3, what are the kind of big gaps that you still see in the kind of like efficiency of financial marketing in terms of infrastructure that you still have to build?
I heard financial markets.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
pick up more?
Yeah,
Yes.
optimization of financial markets, I mean.
Kind of what are kind of like the lacks of TradFi today that you see that should be addressed?
Oh, like issues in TradFi? Weaknesses of TradFi?
What are the big gaps in terms of
The gaps in
infrastructure
gaps
that
in
we still have to
crypto
build? Yeah,
that will be able to match
Yeah.
TradFi.
to match the efficiency of financial markets.
Match the efficiency of TradFi. So I think it. So we built a lot of infrastructure in DeFi, and you know, a bunch of different companies are actually working at the application layer to make things easier to use, more intelligible, safer to use. So I think it's about building out that layer, making it delightful. You shouldn't need to use bridges. You shouldn't need to have to select which lending platform you want to lend money on or borrow money on. And this is all, it's all happening. There are vaults that take care of this sort of thing. I think the capabilities of Web3 DeFi is an order of magnitude or more than the capabilities of TradFi. It's just a question of unlocking those things and making them safe and easy to use. In terms of gaps, do you see gaps in DeFi? I mean, there are innovations like perpetuals. There are just so many things you can do with programmatic money and protocols that implement
I think
fintech functions that it's just dependent on the imagination.
I think definitely like automation is something that we need more. And I think that's why it's super exciting, like AI agents. And the question is when Joe AI agents, will speak with Francesco AI agent and, we'll do something, right? I think it's super interesting, this use case.
Yeah, so that's a really important one. Whether it's like if you're a shoe collector, your AI agent should understand your preferences. But really, your AI agent should be constantly monitoring your financial situation and making sure that opportunities are either acted upon instantly based on parameters that you fed into your agent or information is sent to you. On the other side, there are probably going to be these AI agents that are either operated by companies or possibly they're even autonomous. Somebody sets them free with certain behaviors. They make their own money. Maybe they spawn their own child agents. And you can imagine them just running around doing arbitrage, identifying different opportunities, sort of securitizing different things. I guess they should probably go in and register with the SEC. I look forward to an autonomous robot creating a security. That would be. I wish Gary Gensler will still be around for that. Anyway.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Joe, for your time. It was amazing. Big round of applause for Joe. Thank you so much.
Everyone.